Good morning once again, and thank you for staying tuned to Sunrise at Sea right here on CTV. My name is Apollo Sarah, and welcome to another episode of Wellness. And as you can look at my surroundings around me, it may be familiar to some of you because I am at Chambogo University. And why we are here today is because it's for the premise and the basis of our conversation today, which is mental wellness. And why we're bringing the conversation here is because the country was crippled with a lot of sadness after a tragic loss when a former student who was doing a Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering made the tragic decision of taking his life, and it is alleged that he committed suicide at the Faculty of Engineering, and that is at the engineering building. And his name was Brian Wetaka. And today with me right here at Chambogo University, I'll be talking to somebody who is going to give us insights into what would drive a student or a young person who has promising hopes into making such a drastic decision such as taking their life. And joining me today is a gentleman who is a counseling psychologist right here at the Chambogo University in the Department of Psychology. He's also the PRO of the Uganda Counseling Society. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kakinda Adrian Ivan. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sarah.
So, Mr. Kakinda Adrian,
yes,
as a psychology expert, what is suicide and what would drive somebody who is young and promising to, make the decision to take their own life?
Yeah, suicide, in simple terms to anyone who is watching right there, is an attempt of one ending life. So that intention is what we call suicide, because it may be a suicide attempt or it may be a real action of someone ending life.
Yes.
So that intention or that activity someone does to end with the intention of ending life is what we call suicide. And of course, there are very many factors as to why someone would contemplate of committing suicide. Very many people, or very many students, some people do attempt, and the suicide is not successful in courts. They don't end life. So
yes,
various people have contemplations in their minds. They're thinking, they're having an idea, but the idea doesn't materialize. Those
yes,
are very many. And some people, those who have the attempt, they end up committing suicide, and that one is very common and very unfortunate to our young people, because
yes,
suicide in Uganda is common in the young people. These are 15 to 29 years,
yes,
which is unfortunate, whereby you
said 15 to 29 years.
Yes.
That is so early. What could possibly be stressing out a 15-year-old to that point where they are contemplating suicide?
Yeah, that has been a very common question and
yes,
a contagious question, whereby gone are the days where we thought young people don't have problems. But in this era, young people from the age of 10, the age of 8, they have psychological stressors. They have stress, they have issues they're going through. Lots of issues they're going through from the family background.
Yes.
You realize that some people are going through breakups of relationships. Some people have pressures from home. Some people have anxiety of what the future holds.
Yes.
Some people are being pushed to, for example, come to the university. They're doing programs. They feel like programs are not taking them anywhere.
Yes.
So all these things, when they don't know ways of handling them, handling life stressors, you end up someone being stretched to the limits, and by the end of the day, someone thinks of committing suicide.
All right, so give me some numbers, statistics. Is it on the rise? Is suicide on the rise? Is it on the decline? And what is being done to mitigate, if there are any rises?
Yeah, it's unfortunate when you look world over,
yes,
suicide is becoming the third leading cause of death world over.
Oh, no.
And it's very common in low or middle income countries,
yes,
Uganda inclusive.
Yes.
So when you scale down to Uganda, 10 out of 100, that's 10%. Prevalence rate of suicide in Uganda, meaning the suicide prevalence rate is even higher than that of HIV. HIV 6.2%, suicide is 10%. So, and very many suicidal cases go unreported. So meaning it may even be higher than that. That's what we capture according to World Health Organization,
yes,
and according to World Bank in 2021. The surveys they've done, you realize that suicide is on an increase, and it's very largely, it's common with young people.
Yes.
These are 15 to 29 years. So To answer you, it's increasing. It's increasing because even the socio-economic conditions of our country are dilapidating day in and day out.
Yes.
So the life stresses are increasing, and there's a lot of pressure to these young people. So you end up, it's a sparking.
Yes.
It's sparking, actually.
Since Chambogo University is the basis of our conversation today on mental wellness, I asked Mr. Kakinda Adrian to bring me to the site and the place where the suicide took place when Mr. Brian Waitaka took his life. As you can see, this is the engineering building, very beautiful. And over there, right over there, is where the incident took place. Well, Adrian, you did tell me that he climbed up onto the highest balcony, and then he
hit,
fell to his death.
Exactly.
My biggest
almost over around almost to 40 meters.
30 to 40 meters.
Yeah. So the security guard met the body early in the morning.
Yes.
Lying in blood.
Yes.
And that's how the news broke out
to everybody else.
And Chambogo was in cold shock.
Exactly.
Yes.
How is the university handling that tragedy? Are you bringing it at the forefront to talk to students and use it as an example and telling them that it doesn't have to be this way? What measures is the university really doing and putting in place to ensure that nothing like this happens ever again? And then for my second question is just out of curiosity, why do suicide victims leave behind a note?
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I would start by saying that may his soul rest in eternal peace.
Yes.
It's very unfortunate to lose such a young person.
Absolutely.
At a very age you think someone would become a responsible citizen.
Yes.
It's quite unfortunate. But I would love to say that before these people commit suicide, they throw signs to the people around them that, anytime I'm going to commit suicide.
Yes.
But the peers around these people take things, for example, just like fun.
They're blind to it.
They're blind to it. They power water into that. So sometimes people post on their Facebook pages, on their Twitter handles, that, you know what, I'm tired of life. People respond, you kill yourself. Don't disturb us. Everyone is stressed. So by the end of the day, you realize someone commits suicide and say, hey, this person had given us a signal.
Yes.
So in such institutions, like I say, that life of a student is a transitional period, transiting from childhood to adulthood. Now, there are some pressures within, from academic pressures, from family background pressures, from relationship pressures. Most of them are killing themselves because of relationship breakups. There are issues concerning tuition, betting, etc. So when those factors come in play, does the individual have the capacity, the innate ability to solve this problem?
Yes.
Or is thinking that, you know what, I think I end it here? So that's one of the key problems. You asked me what the university is currently doing.
Yes.
We've done a survey and we've come up with some data, trying to understand what's the common continuum of the suicide happenings. We discovered that males commit suicide more than girls.
That is true.
Yeah. So males, because of maybe the cultural background, that a man is a hard one, a man doesn't cry, so they have very volatile egos. So they end up keeping quiet with their problems. And then another thing we discovered is that very many people commit suicide in their final year of study than people in their first year of study. So I think towards the end of this program, someone has been already stretched, is having a lot of psychological issues which have not been addressed, and this is like an eruption.
Yes.
So by erupting, someone thinks of ending life, and life after campus is not easy, Sarah.
It is not.
You've ever been at the university and you are now leaving university.
Yes.
And society, home, parents are expecting too much from you.
The expectation, yes.
So that expectation also from parents kill these people's egos. They think, I think I've become a failure. What should I do? So if people don't have that strength in them, that, you know what, today may be a bad day, but tomorrow may be a better day, they may end up thinking of committing suicide.
Yes.
So as the university, we are now talking about suicide in a more broad way. We are no longer talking about suicide in the closed doors.
Yes.
Because some people think when you talk about suicide, you are promoting it, you're making it normal. No, we're now putting it to the plates of students.
Like, let's talk about it.
Talk about
These things happen.
It's a problem to us. It's becoming a big problem. So you realize that we are sorting out something which is very deadly. Now we are discussing it. We've done clubs now in different faculties, mental health clubs, to implore people to share. Learn, because a problem shared is a problem half solved.
Absolutely.
So we are now promoting the students associations here to do campaigns of mental health. We are bringing various stakeholders, various NGOs to come here, talk about depression, talk about anxiety. We are trying to advocate for counseling services for students to feel free to walk in counseling center, share your issue with a counselor, professional, and everything is sorted. And we do believe by the end, but maybe in 2 years' time, this thing would escalate down. But you realize it's just work in progress.
All right.
Yeah, we are sitting on a time bomb.
So who does one look to for a clinical diagnostic on their condition?
Issues of misdiagnosis, it's a recipe of our society.
Yes.
Look at even the physical body. When your physical body is having a problem, where do you go? You first go to the pharmacy to self-medicate until things become, complex. I think I need to say doctor.
Yes.
But, and in our society, we want cheap things.
And quick solutions, quick fixes.
Remember, counselors, we now have educated coaches and educated singers. You know them.
Yes.
They're always on TV, radio, saying I can do this, I can do that. But in actual sense, they can't do much professionally. But what I would tell the public out there is to look out for professionals. They are all over this country.
Yes.
Look for a counselor for diagnosis or a clinical psychologist for diagnosis.
Yes.
Now a counselor can diagnose and can treat using different therapeutic approaches.
Yes.
So, and the counselors, there's no fee that like this is the fee, maybe 100,000, maybe no. Counselors vary, just like lawyers, just like doctors, they vary. So you look for one, get a personal counselor for your family.
All right.
So that if your family, your children, you yourself, you're having issues, you just tap on a counselor. They have sort of help, techniques, etc. Then look for a clinical psychologist. Then if it's a psychological disorder that has graduated into mental health illness, then you need a psychiatrist to address that.
All right, so Mr. Kakinda, any closing remarks? We have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. So closing remarks for our viewer today, or please talk to somebody who may actually be on the verge of, trying to tragically end their life.
Yeah. Thank you very much, CTV, for this amazing opportunity to talk about mental health, particularly suicide, especially among young people. It's becoming a social, problem day in, day out. But what I would tell someone who is struggling with issues out there is to know that the fact of life is a bumpy road.
True.
Life is not straight. So we expect bumps, turns, and that. So meaning the energy or the power is within you as an individual to cope with the life stressors.
Yes.
If today's things are not moving on well, trust me, tomorrow it's a brighter day. Be optimistic. Discern from people who spread negative power, negative energy. Be around people who spread positive vibes. We call them vibes these days.
Yes, they are vibes.
They give us positive energy. That's the way to go, because life is already stressing. And lastly, it's not only you who is struggling. People are struggling. But the only difference is people struggle and they wake up and they continue chasing greatness. Absolutely. Remember, we are chasing greatness. We wake up every day to chase greatness, and we must reach greatness if we know who we are, our energies, our strong points, and the points at which we break down, and we feel free to get help if we cannot help ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kakinda Adrian. And there you had it. Well, he's a counseling psychologist right here at Chambogo University in the Department of Psychology. And just as he has said, chase the good vibes, chase the positive vibes. We all have problems, and I don't say that to be insensitive, but suicide is not the answer, because when you end your life, you transfer that pain, that heartache, and everything that you felt onto your loved ones and people that cared about you. Please don't be afraid to ask for help. It is not weakness, it is strength to ask when you are struggling. And that is all I had for you on this segment of Wellness. But keep on watching Sunrise at Sea, because we have more lined up for you.